Hey everybody, welcome to episode 134 of The Wellness Woman. Today's podcast is with a returning guest and one of my favorites, Dr. Robert Morse. I'm very excited to have Dr. Morse back here, especially as we talk about his herbs, something he created through knowledge and learning and really put together because herbs are so powerful and really can help in a healing journey, helping the body work well. So they don't cure diseases, but they support our body, the organs that we use, their energetics and also phytochemicals to really perform the way that our bodies are meant to. Of course, this in line with the diet, and you'll learn all about this in today's episode. And especially for women in perimenopause to postmenopause, we have some pertinent questions about where to look and what to do when we need that extra support. So before we get into the episode, a big shout out to our sponsors. So today we have Nama Well. The J2 juicer is amazing, and I want just tell you there is a special until June 1st. If you buy the J2 today until June 1st, you get a free sorbet attachment that is worth $59. Plus, if you use my code and you get 10% more, overall you're saving $100 on this machine. So it's really worth it. The Nama comes with 15 years warranty and it is the best juicer ever. I use it weekly for my batch juicing and I absolutely adore it. So if you want to know more, go into the show notes. I will also link up the episode that I did 133 with the founder of Nama, and you can expect such a great conversation. If you get a chance to watch this on YouTube, you will love it too. All right guys, without further ado, let's get into the conversation with our beautiful guest. Welcome, Dr. Morse. Hello, Dr. Morse. Welcome back on my podcast, which has been renamed The Wellness Woman, and I'm really happy you're here. Thank you. You've been on the Green Life twice, and it was such good conversations. Everybody loved the episodes. Lots, really good information for healing. And in today's conversation, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into actually women's wellness, but when it comes to herbs, because you have created some products that I absolutely love. I've been using them since 2022. I give them to all my patients. I use them myself, and I cannot, I really love them. They're great energetics and great combinations. So I want to know a little bit the background about them. But before we get into that, I'd love for you to just introduce yourself for people that perhaps are new to your work and they want to discover a little bit more about what you do.
Oh, God. Well, I guess that to simplify it, which sounds really bizarre, is I'm into tissue or cellular regeneration. So like you, all our students, we're all regenerating human beings, animals. We regenerate things. And so we've got stuck in this medical armpit of fraud and just corruption and everything else, and just such an extreme lack of understanding of health. And then the amount of harm that is being done to humans because of this idiocy, this ridiculous concept of diseases. And so everybody lives under this fear of everything, fear of the cancer word, fear of all of this, fear of this rat stuff. Everybody's in fear of all this, and they just have to sit back and understand the simplicity of how life is put together, especially at this level, how easy it is to understand what causes your symptoms. We live in a world of chemistry, of course, and physics. Everything is, for every symptom, for every cause that you see, there's an effect to it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you live in this fallacy, this fantasy world of diseases, there's no cause, there's no cure, there's treatment. We can treat you really good, and we got some fine pharmaceuticals that probably hurt you a little bit, but that's okay.
That's true.
Oh,
That is true. And when did you start practicing as a naturopath?
I think I started in 1974.
Okay. And what inspired you to get into it? What inspired you to connect to the natural world and healing?
Well, I got into raw foods. I got into the natural hygienic community. And it's just loaded with people of raw foods, a lot of raw books. It's hard to get any books, especially in the 70s and 80s, on raw food eating. What
Mm.
does that mean, raw food eating? That means no animal cooks their food before they eat it. Why do you cook your food? Why,
Mm.
if you have to take your food and do something with it to make it taste good, to me that doesn't seem proper. You know what I mean? Because nature offers every species its type of food, and they love it. But the humans just seem to just, I don't know, beat their food up so bad. By processing, of course, by cooking, of course, all these the forms of augmentation of its chemistry just for flavors and stuff. And it's like, oh. And then, of course, the biggest problem is the humans lost who they are. Humans don't realize they're a frugivore species. They're so lost in other types of things like religious things and stuff. And the bottom line is this physical shell is just a herbivore shell. Come on, man. And we're designed to eat the highest level of nutritional and energetic foods on the planet. The fruit are the, you know this, the fruit are the brain and nerve foods. Without fructose, and then of course Yale, thank you Yale, despite what I think, they came out with a study where they figured it out that the brain converts glucose to fructose. Now, come on. So, when you realize the power of fruit and the power of this level and the power of raw foods, and you don't cook them, and then you eat nothing but raw foods, you go way out there in energy and way out there in health. You get hydrated, all the pain goes away, all these acids come out of you, all the tumors come out of you, all this comes out of you, and you start feeling like 10 million bucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you not go this way? But, it's tough for humans to change their diets. And then, of
No,
course, there
that's
was
true.
years of vegetarianism.
Yeah.
We're not horses or cows or elephants. I've always said that we're not vegetarians. We're fruitarians.
Well, yeah, I mean, diet is very important, and there is a lot of energy in fruit. I definitely, I mean, I guess fruit, people, we think about sweet fruit, but actually culinary fruit is also like, the cucumbers and the zucchini. Those are also fruits. It's just we somehow call them vegetables, but so there is a bigger even array of fruit that is not necessarily even sweet that one can enjoy in different ways. So there is definitely a lot of choice, which I think is amazing. Um, so obviously, diet was your first encounter with the hygienist movement, and then how did you become a master herbalist? What inspired you? Because in naturopathy, we can choose what we're going to focus on, and so what made you want to focus on actual herbs?
Well, when I spent 3 years as a fruitarian, I had nothing but oranges for those 3 years. Been hard to get back to that, but it was the best I've ever felt. I lived out in the woods in a Volkswagen van. I lived in a little van. Didn't know what I was going to do when I got back into life, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm from the islands down here. I rented a little bitty apartment and got a job at a post office putting mail in. And I thought, what am I going to do? And this little bitty 500 square foot place opened up in a laundromat. And I rented it and opened up a health food store. I said, well, health foods, that sounds good. I'll just sell health foods. Well, you know what? People's ideas and concepts of health foods are not health foods.
Some of them are not as true.
Yeah, Monsanto pushing soy products. Uh, you've got so much unhealthy food that they label healthy. It's ridiculous.
But what about like, for example, soy products that are not from Monsanto, the organic ones? Do you also feel that that's part of their pushing
Well,
these
it
products?
doesn't. You know what? If you take corn or you take anything and you cook it or process it, I don't care if it is organic. You just ruined it.
Mm,
And of course, when you get into grains, you get into beans, you get into meats, you get into your pasteurized dairy products and processed dairy products, you're into acid ash foods. And this is the real cause behind all man's tumors and all this suffering is all these acid ash foods and what acids do to the human body. And there's no species of the four basic vertebrates that are designed to eat acid ash foods. Yes, even the carnivore has a rough time eating acid ash foods. You have to maintain your teeth. You have to maintain your skeletal structure. You have to maintain energy, and proteins take all of that away from you.
Interesting. Somebody actually was saying the other day, I had never heard somebody on the mainstream to say that actually when you want to heal the body, protein could be the worst thing to do because aside from you, nobody actually says it. But they were like, protein might not be the best thing for your body when you're trying to actually heal your body, especially when it comes to the gut. And generally, because now we are pushing protein a lot, and there is definitely need for amino acids, but people think that you need to have the meat to have the amino acids, so you have to have certain
Yeah.
other foods when amino acids are in plants and they're building blocks. So we tend to really lose a little bit, and what's online right now, as you know, with the carnivore diet being pushed, and this debate between fiber being good, fiber being bad. Well,
That's
mostly
crazy.
yeah, it's crazy. Like mostly don't have fiber is bad for you, and don't worry if you poop once a week. And I'm like, oh boy.
At Kennedy, I did have hopes for Kennedy, but I don't have any hopes for Kennedy anymore because,
No.
he's kind of trapped in that protein concept. And you can prove this over and over and over, and I've done this till the cows come home. Prove that protein sucks calcium out of your body, acidifies your body, of course,
Mm.
breaks down your bowel tissue, your gut tissue, breaks down urinary tract tissue. A high protein diet destroys the human body. And we're just not we're frugivores. We're primates. You can't argue that. If you're going to argue that, you would have to be an anthropologist.
And
And I
even
don't know too many
anthropology.
people out. Yeah, there's not too many people out there arguing it that has any degree in anthropology, like Dr. Walker that went back 20 million years. Come on, man.
Yeah.
But when you get into clinical work, you can go out like the China study. You can go to China, you can go to the islands. And I've had, of course, in Florida here, I deal with the herbs, so a lot of the islanders can't stand pharmaceuticals. They're scared of them. So they come into me because I'm an herbalist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the difference between someone raised up in Alaska on a high protein diet and someone raised on an island like Barbados or somewhere on a fruit diet, the longevity, the health differences are night and day. I just can't even tell you. You don't get too many 100-year-old Alaskans, and you've got plenty of 100 to 120-year-old islanders. Plenty of them.
Yeah, longevity is definitely not in the cold countries
Yeah,
for some. But to be
yeah.
honest, it's so funny. I have my background is Italian and South African, so heavy animal products eaters. When I was a teenager, I moved to the island of Mauritius, which is in the Indian Ocean near Madagascar. And
Mhm.
it is so funny how, I mean, now I kick myself because when I went there, I had access to the most amazing tropical fruit. And you would be crying at this because at the time, because I had no taste bud and no gut bacteria that was familiar with that, and I was so into the overcooked food, animal products. I did
Yeah.
not enjoy it. I did not enjoy, and now I am trying to buy all these amazing tropical fruits in Europe, in Portugal, and they cost more. You don't find them all the time, but because I love fruit, and I used to wake up swollen every day, water retentive, as a teenager, and now I eat like a lion and I don't put on weight. Like I just, it just works for me. And like I actually, even when I have like a crisis with my health, like if my lymphatic system is a little bit swollen or whatever, It sometimes it happens. Like it happened once actually in the last 5 years, but I went back to the basics. But to be honest with you, I had to do it with culinary fruit and not sweet fruit. The sweet fruit was not working for me. I don't know why. But with the cucumbers, with the zucchini, really really worked. And I have something you will appreciate: alfalfa sprouts, which I just like I
Ooh,
have 3 jars that I have sprouted in this last 3 days. I am so excited about
wow.
this.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
They're
yeah. Oh,
amazing.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
So
so many.
like with this.
There's just so many good foods. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many great foods out there, great fruits, great berries, great melons. You can
Mm-hmm.
add vegetable fruits, like you say, cucumbers and stuff like this. A lot of what we call veggie fruits and stuff are good, even though like your tomatoes are nightshade and acidic. But I grew up with
I
nightshade
love
families.
them.
I grew up farming. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you have a cucumber and tomato salad, that's pretty good. That's
Yeah,
the
it
old
is.
ways we used to eat it. Yeah.
It is. Well, we're two foodies, so we don't want to get lost in the food. We need to talk about the herbs. So you opened this health store, and after a while, you actually realized that obviously not everything in there was something you felt was actually healthy. So when was that moving point between you
Well, that was
settling?
the early 70s,
Mm,
and back then, orthomolecular supplementation was just starting, vitamins
mm,
and minerals.
mm.
And if you're a holistic thinker, that is not in your way of thinking because it's isolating constituents or chemistry and then potentizing them and giving them back to you. Same thing as pharmaceuticals. You know, you're just taking the active principles and potentizing those active
Exactly.
principles and combining with other chemicals, blah, 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 blah. So, and you miss the consciousness. A lot of people have no idea when you say consciousness what you're talking about, but they're missing the consciousness of the plant. It's kind of like if we want to mate a loved one, a man or a woman or whatever. Uh, we actually are looking at the consciousness of that person we want to be with. Do we feel like we're going to be comfortable with that person, safe with that person? You know, and the same thing, believe this or not, is with all life. It's energy. It's what does it have to offer you? Why was grapes made in the first place? Why was mangoes? You know, what do these little creatures have to offer you? What does the herbs growing in the field wild, why are they sitting there and they can pull a tumor out of you? Where did that come from?
Mm.
I mean, it's just so amazing the love that these herbs have. But that's their job. That's why they're on the planet. They use me. I'm here for you. Use me. This whole concept of pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceuticals weren't too bad until Rockefellers got a hold of them, and then everything went to petrochemicals or coal tar products, you know, and that petroleum products based. And that's when the side effects are like beyond gnarly. The sad part about it is that pharmaceuticals go back to botanicals, that could wreck the industry.
Well, I guess I think it's good to point out two things here. One is that, as you said, the pharmaceutical company actually does derive from plants because plants have compounds. So a lot of the research that has been done on plants is to see what what compounds they have that help certain ailments and certain organs, organs mostly, the ailments that come from the organs not working. But in allopathic, we don't really think that way. We think about, okay, there's ailment, focus on the disease. And then how do you patent nature? You can't. So they have to obviously extract something. And I think this has probably done
Yeah.
a favor, not a favor to the natural world in the sense of even studying the herbs to the extent that they could be studied, because there is just no funding going into more. Like a lot of herbalists always will talk about how beautiful the plants are, but that we know so little about them. We know the main things, but we could know so much more, because the compounds that are in plants, when they work together, they would require a lot of funding and research to really get into. And as you said, isolating is not really doing a favor to anybody, because it's not just one thing. This is why, for example, I take my patients off curcumin, and I'm like, just drink the turmeric powder in your food, but don't do the curcumin, because you're isolating one of 400 types of curcuminoids. You don't know what is in the plant that actually makes them work. We know they are anti-inflammatory, but what really makes the food more anti-inflammatory? What is more powerful? And so I will have to confess, so of course, in this world and age, I do rely on some food-derived supplements that are not necessarily isolated one by one, but I do see a lot of deficiencies. I myself, if I'm not careful, running around with stress, it is. I think we don't live in a perfect world. I don't have the perfect situation, where I'm like anymore. I'm going through my own personal changes with divorce and not living on my farm anymore. So it has been a struggle. So I had to really like boost myself up a little bit, because the
Oh
food and the
man.
herbs haven't done it, all of it. And I'm just like, okay, how do I support myself? So I see a space for that, but the basis has to be really strong, and the basis is the food and lifestyle, and I really believe the herbs are powerful. This is why I always go back to your herbs religiously.
So
Yeah.
naturopathy, years ago kind of got into the concept of deficiencies. And I've always said, if you understand the human body as it is built as a food processor. And the first process that you have to do is break down or digest your foods. So what does that mean? That means that food started out as elements. I mean, you get into the atom structure, the atomic structures of this world and stuff, and so we have the atomic structures of form and elements, and then compounds and the like. But when we eat, we seem to have to break some of that back down. But it's not back down to the original elements of the earth anymore. Now we have salts formed, we have a lot of other chemistry formed, and we're done so electrically. So, and enzymatically, so that when you start to eat raw foods, enzymatically, this starts to release and break apart this chemistry, where this electromagnetic energy, this consciousness now, can be released through the nervous system, especially the autonomics, into related organs and glands. That's why your bowel wall has to be really well, cleaned up, and that interstitially that you don't have malabsorption. You cannot claim that you have a deficiency on any supplement when you have malabsorption. Second of all, then you've got to be able to, of course, digest. That's number one. Absorb is number two. Number three, of course, is utilize, and that's your adrenal glands. How many people have adrenal glands down? Everybody, right?
Yeah.
So that means probably over 30 minerals are not being utilized properly. Sugar, probably metabolism. Your kidney
Pancreas.
potassium and sodium are off. So all you cannot use that word, in my opinion, until you correct everything. And let me tell you, when you correct all these things we're talking about, you're on it, baby. You're not. You don't feel like you're deficient or you need something. You're just like, oh man. It's like the power comes out.
It
It's
does.
like, yeah, it's like if it's a different world. It's like I can't even explain it. And then if you're eating cooked foods, you can't argue deficiency anyway. All of these things like that. But I had a line of supplements made in my name. I had a line of vitamins and minerals, you name it. I was heavy into the proper levels of ease, that sort of things, because there's there's supplements, and then there's chemistry, and then there's chemistry. Generally, the doctors are more into the levels of chemistry, it's like cell salts and stuff. Your chiropractors are at the hundreds. So different practitioners use, different levels of these things.
Yeah.
But the bottom line, I have had people, I've run them on nothing but fruit for a number of years, and I've seen unbelievable results. We get people out of wheelchairs all the time.
Yeah.
We rebuild the body's tissues very easily just with fruit. How can you do that if there's a need for or a deficiency for. And the same thing with the medical now. They're coming in with the need, you got to have D3s and all that. Really, you didn't need it when you didn't go out in the sun.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all this kind of crap out there.
Yeah, there is that, and that's true. There are ways and ways, but you're right. The body needs to be in a balanced way, supported so that it can do its job. And sometimes life really doesn't allow you to do that, and that's where we get into
But
like what are the choices, right?
I
Um,
was going to breatharian. I wanted to become a breatharian. Where do you get your nutrition as a breatharian?
carbon from the air.
Yeah, exactly. You got your air, you got your carbon, nitrogen, and hydrogen. You got how many elements are gases? You got your noble gases. You've got all kinds of things.
So
But then you've got your social, and you've got your emotional and intellectual needs. You know what I'm saying here in the physical world, and it
yeah,
kind of drives you or pulls you. If you want to be social with a group, we have a lot of meetings around here, so we have a lot of go out to restaurants, and it's like, where do you eat?
yeah, and you love your Indian food here.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a little bit of something,
Fun.
because well,
Yeah.
what's the longest you've been all raw?
I started in 2021 when I found out I had type 2 diabetes. So I knew I had to make that choice. And I knew I was sick for a few years. I just didn't have the mental space to really focus on it. But when I got to a point where I woke up in the morning and wish I didn't have to wake up. I didn't want to be here. And I
Not too
thought,
bad.
that's not me. And I'm like, I need to do
Yeah,
something. So
that's
that's
not
when I
you.
decided, no, then I decided, screw this. I'm gonna have to get healthy. And I started really mostly like a high raw. Um, and yeah, I'm 99% raw. Like, you know,
I'm proud of you totally,
thank
and
you.
totally what you've done for yourself. And everybody needs to do that for themselves. You're the one wearing the body. No one else is
Mm-hmm.
wearing this body. If you want to look at the karmic reasons why, you got to go to the Akashic records. Okay, you
Mm-hmm.
can get a master to take you there. But in just realizing this is what you got, you can look at it through iridology. You can see totally all your cells. Fix them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This means you're going to be living in another world. Yeah, you're not going to be eating on a dead animal turkey leg and stuff like that anymore and stuff like that. Yeah. But okay, all right. But I'm going to have a lot of other fun. I'm going to
Yeah.
learn how the body travels. I'm going to learn how to visit different worlds and lands. I'm going to be so healthy and happy. I can't stand myself.
I know,
I
right?
mean, it's just that when you wake up with a smile on your face and you're happy just because life exists.
Yes. That is exactly what I wanted to back to. I mean, I was already vegan. I went vegan in 2013.
Oh, wow.
And it was the best choice. Like I would never go back. In fact, the only question I have for myself is why didn't I do this before?
Yeah, I know.
But I definitely the raw has been a different place. And I got a lot of resistance from my ex-husband because I think he knew in a way, maybe viscerally, that it would be me graduating to a place where I just wasn't happy with our relationship anymore, maybe. I don't know. I sometimes wonder because he's very resistant to just raw. He was very resistant to just raw, but I just embrace like I just love my big salads. I love my smoothies. I love my fruit. I'm just like love my juices. I'm doing a 2-day juice fast actually since yesterday, and I mean it hasn't been. I'm so it's so easy like carrots and beetroots and then fruit and oranges and I'm all the like I've done green juices. I love it. Like lemons with cucumbers and zucchini. Like I just and lots of herbs. I put a lot of coriander, parsley, mint, just go back to the herbs to like really cleanse. And I
And
just
it
feel amazing.
shows. It
Thank you.
shows that when you look at you like that, no one out there should ever feel bad that
Mm-mm.
they have to leave another person because they're not on the same wavelength.
Mm-hmm.
Big deal. You
Mm-hmm.
know how many lifetimes souls or individuals spend on experiencing life on all levels? I mean, you're talking about one other individual in a scheme of the infinite.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and yet that one individual is one and the same as you are. Isn't that funny? But the bottom line is no one ever should feel, and a woman should never feel that, oh my God, I'm just going to crush him. No, 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 no. You got to have a life of your own. You got to be happy. You got to enjoy it. Like to me, you exude happiness from your lifestyle and stuff. Everybody should enjoy that. You know, exude your love and your happiness for what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're not, you're going to spend this lifetime not very happy.
Yeah. And I really mean, I want to live on purpose, with purpose, on
Well,
purpose. So
yeah,
important.
because what happens? There's a next lifetime I got to live.
Yeah.
When am I going to be happy?
Yeah.
It's always in the now.
It's always
Everything
in
is
the now.
always in the now.
And this is a great segue actually for talking about women's health because in our transition through perimenopause, I mean, when I got sick, the dark night of the soul came out. I was like, okay, so let's do this, and I think it's something that a lot of women are facing. So obviously, when you created your herbs, like there's a lot of herbs that really support women's wellness. And I like to understand how you felt compelled to create something for us women, especially when it comes to like endocrine system, the thyroid, parathyroid, which we don't talk about enough. So talk to me about the formulations that you created, aside from the all heal, which obviously this is like the holy grail of teas. Please buy it because it's amazing. And it's also like cheaper because you can make so many teas out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
And
still costs us a lot of money to make it.
I
I
bet.
can't believe the cost of single herbs. They're just to grind up. You know, it's
Yeah.
crazy out there. So it
Yes.
is. Well, I've always had cause raised by my grandmother, and my sister, and then my grandfather. So I didn't have a biological dad.
Mm,
My biological grandfather became my dad.
mm,
And we were farmers, so we work, and this is how you go to work all the time, right? We had horses at the house, and so there's just a lot of work. I was raised by more females, and the females didn't, they were ironing underwear and ironing the sheets of your bed and everything. That's what they did back then. No one
yes.
irons that stuff anymore, but the ladies weren't like the males were like work, work, work. Well, I'm the only male in the family besides my dad, so it's a lot of work in that way. Uh, to me, women are just going through hell. To me, an endocrinologist. I look at these endocrinologists, and I try to bite my tongue and try to be humble because really, you can't tell you've got a 5 foot lady standing in front of you. She can't conceive and have children. When she does conceive, she aborts. What's wrong with her? That's easy to fix. And yet there's thousands of women like this. Heavy menses, heavy monthly cycles full of pain and cramping. Mr. Endocrinologist, you don't know about the pituitary. How about the parathyroid? How about the adrenal glands, which you are involved with because you have thinking about type 2. That's adrenal glands.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's more of your gonadals, estrogen, progesterone. You got your aldosterone, testosterones as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got all your female gonadals are involved with you on top of having your pituitary. So a lot of women that are affected greatly by pituitary, they're either going to be short, under 5, say 8 or 9, and they're going to be tall, above 6 foot. You can have not being able to conceive and have children. You can abort easy, have horrible periods, horrible pain. That's ridiculous. Endometriosis, ovarian cysts, this is lymphatic problems.
Mm-hmm.
But your pituitary is your gland that literally controls your monthly cycles, not your ovaries. And so the pituitary is a huge deal. And then, of course, it controls all the other ones. So in comes what you just mentioned, parathyroid. Parathyroid is how you utilize calcium. You don't have too many endocrinologists even talking about it. Well, Mr. Endocrinologist, have you ever heard of postpartum depression?
Mm-hmm.
Serious problem. A lot of women have killed their babies over postpartum depression. What's caused that? They have no idea. and it's your parathyroids. It can be fixed. And look at the ladies that with the parathyroids that the babies took all the calcium because the mama didn't utilize it. The babies didn't, so the babies had to borrow the calcium. So there goes mom's teeth. There goes mom's bones. I mean, there goes mom's happiness. I mean, this is it. That's why I'm very passionate about the female and fixing up females because and having healthy babies because the karma that some of these babies can give a family is a nightmare from holy hell. And with the Down syndromes and all these can be fixed.
Yeah, it's definitely, I feel that a lot of times women, before they conceive, they should really clean up the house.
Oh, that's a big one, a
Yeah.
huge one. Before you conceive, no matter what your emotional state is, set that to the side because you'll put yourself in a deeper rabbit hole if you don't. You want to get an eye picture and have someone be able to read your iris and the health of your body. You can see every cell basically in your body through your iris. Get an iridology done. Take a look at you and spend a year getting your bodies healthy. Because if you're with a man and that man doesn't want to wait a year, then what's he with you for?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. I mean, you don't love me? No, good. So, you want to bring forth these higher beings to this planet. And I've said this before because we have so many ladies that couldn't conceive. You know that. And having beautiful babies on our sites and everything. But they're bringing in these higher souls. I mean, I'm telling you. These beings are so much more brilliant and awake and aware. And that's what this planet needs. This planet is
In trouble.
got its head up its butt.
It does. That is true. Oh my God, we need so much more. Yeah, we need a higher vibration on this planet,
Oh
especially
yeah.
right now.
Oh yeah. Oh please.
Yeah, yeah. And
But
so,
that's why you're here, don't you
well,
think?
yes, I
And it
didn't
is.
have
Come on.
the, it took me a while to get into this again. I think I had to remember. When we come, sometimes we forget who we are. And I really, it took me a while to remember. I remembered only my adulthood. But so I wasn't the same person in my 20s. I don't regret the fun I had in my 20s, but I definitely wasn't this person. And I'm glad that
But
I got there
don't you
eventually.
like But you like what you know now as opposed to what you did in your 20s.
So
So you're
much.
much more awake, you're much more aware, you're much more mature, you're much more stable. You're now an educator. You can teach other beings about life because they don't know either. They come to the planet, they come unaware that they're, out of body a lot of times, or they just left a lifetime and
Yeah.
now they're in another one. A lot of the beings are not aware of those things, and so that that's my other job I love, spirituality. Oh,
Yes, you
I
do.
mean, it's just fun to. I mean, this planet is a very chemical hellhole. Is this a rock spinning through space? And yes, I love crystals. And yes, I love rocks, gemstones and stuff. Yes, they're sweet. Yes, yes, yes. But there's so much out there. Holy moly. There's just so much. But the human is so sick with the health problems and with the mental problems and emotional problems. They need to understand that. And we have a school up. I just completed a class, the spiritual side of naturopathy. Getting into understanding broader reasons why you're here, broader reasons why things exist. What is burdock root? What does
Mm.
that little baby have for me anyway? What do you got for me, Mr. Burdock? Huh? And it's just getting to understand these herbs are just like people. They're loaded with power to help you on all levels. We can call it chemistry and individual constituents, and we can call it carbon constituents, protein, whatever, whatever. But the bottom line here, these plants are here to help you. And very important.
They are. And it's funny because as soon as you said you love spirituality is your passion, I thought that it's great that it works with herbs because herbs are very connected to like different realms. That's why herbalists look at the energetic of the plant, not just the biochemistry of the plant. Yeah.
Plants have emotions. If
Mhm.
you ever want to read a good book on it, Secret Life of Plants, Secret Life of Plants is a really good book. Tom Tompkins, Christopher Bird. Uh, I mean, once you read it, you realize that plants know you. They perceive you. They understand your emotional side. They understand all of it, and they have memory. But every cell in your body does too. Your cells have memory. Plants have memory and emotions. They recognize you from when you leave, when you come back home at night. They recognize you. Stones, crystals. Anybody into crystals out there? Of course, I'm a crystal freak, and I love gemstones. They talk to you and everything, and so life is full of awareness if you're full of being open to that awareness.
Very true. And so tell me something. If we have a lot of women, obviously, that are not going to be ready, a lot of humans, but let's focus on women that are not going to be ready to change the diet to go on only fruit because perhaps they actually don't have any, they don't feel bad enough, maybe, because a lot of the times we really change when we have to. But they are going through these changes hormonally, perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. And if they didn't want to change their diet, they're like, I'm not going to go on all fruit. I'm sorry. But they are willing perhaps to have plants, only plants, ideally, or at least high plants. Can they still use the herbs and get the benefits out of them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And what would you recommend that a person that is just starting looks at so that they can actually start using the herbs? And how should they use them? Should they use them on a regular basis, or should they do sections, like periods of them, and then stop and then we start again?
Well, let me address that one first, and then I want to get back to something. But I like 5 days on and a couple of days off on using herbs. Take the weekend off on using your herbs. You can take herbs either one full dropper full in a tincture 3 times a day, or you can take 2 dropperfuls twice a day. However you want to do it, whatever's convenient for you. Capsules, just depends. We have bowel capsules that are, I think, incredible. I mean, it's hard to get a bowel capsule that cleans, restores, enhances, and doesn't create addiction.
Yeah, although I must
That's
say,
rough.
with the bowel
Because,
capsules, I love the feeling because man,
yeah,
nothing makes you go to the loo like those.
yeah, I know. But it's also understanding your herbs, because some herbalists think
Yeah.
some of the herbs are bad. And it's like, when I opened up my health food store, I knew vitamins and minerals weren't the answer. I was just living out in the woods as a fruitarian, so I knew all that wasn't the answer. I knew the answer was the diet, because when I put myself just on a fruit diet, I proved what Arnold Ehret had said about when you cut yourself, you can't feel it, you don't bleed, and you heal. And that's another thing for females too, monthly cycles. You're a raw food female, you should just barely bleed at all, just maybe just a little bit of monthly cycle, but not much.
Shouldn't be
Not
heavy.
much. You should have no bleeding. The cleaner the uterus, the cleaner the lymph system, the less pain in your body, the less bleeding, the less stiffness, the less hardness, all of that.
In-
And so a woman thinks she should have a bleeding cycle every month. No. No. That's only if you're toxic. And the more toxic the lymphatic system is in a woman, the heavier her bleeding cycle will be. And the more pain and that sort of thing with that.
That would be an interesting conversation with the endocrinologist actually, because obviously
I would love that.
hypothalamic amenorrhea, we try to fix it, right? Because when we don't bleed anymore.
Yeah. And then you have to look at why things are happening and what are they for, and realizing that the body detoxifies itself, cleans itself out. And if it doesn't get a chance to do that, then this is what we're looking at. So it's simply understanding that the body is just a bunch of cells and 2 fluids. The 2 fluids are the blood and lymph. One's called the kitchen, one's called the bathroom, the sewer system. That's pretty easy. There's only 2 sides to chemistry. So on which side does what to your cells? Which side destroys your cells and which side doesn't? So when you step back and you look at it real simplistically, it should be a good aha moment for most of your people that, you know what, I have the power to fix myself. I know what causes all this now. I can fix it too. And then fix it. Because, yeah, there's self-discipline and things like this is required, but you still want to live the same old painful life, depressed, unhappy life, have other people taking advantage of you, and going through the same old life on this dreaded planet where you have to go to work every. No, you got to change your attitude, get happy, get opened up, have life flow through you where it can feel the energy of life breathing through you. And getting rid of this old ways of thinking and just getting rid of thoughts in the first place. It'll lock you into hell. People don't realize your thoughts are a chain around your neck. Your emotions can be chains around your neck. Free yourself up. Like Buddha said, detach yourself. Get yourself free, man.
It's hard in the
Jesus said
world.
the same thing. Yeah, Jesus said the same thing. Cool, man. Out-of-body travels are cool.
They
I
are
mean,
good.
when you get into these people, these spiritual giants, they were just like you and me. They're just spiritual beings opening themselves up, learning about the magnificence of creation and just what you can do in it as an individual entity. I mean, just as that. So it's just
And
understanding those things, understanding duality, and with just how life works here.
I think women are actually going through these changes and understanding this more and more, especially sensitive women. This is why perimenopause can be quite a challenging, well, it's the zone of chaos, not just hormonally, but like it can be a challenging emotional time. Like, more women are leaving their marriages, more women are just trying to just do things that they're passionate about, leaving their careers, and doing something that they really want to do rather than a job. There is a lot of changes that happen to us. And I work with women only. I focus on women only. So I see every spectrum of this. And so I think obviously using herbs in these times is very helpful so that we can feel like supported. You mentioned at the beginning our adrenals, are actually responsible for our hormones. And I mean, I experience it, as you said, the type 2 diabetes is connected to the adrenals as well as the pancreas, but mostly the adrenals. And I knew, and you can't really diagnose this. And I also didn't have access at the time to like a good doctor. I moved, I was living in the mountains of Portugal, not like close to any, even naturopath. I found one eventually, but I knew that my hormones were not okay. I knew that I kept on saying, I think I really have adrenal insufficiency. Like something is happening with my adrenals. And people are like, that doesn't exist. I'm like, I'm telling you, it does exist. So I knew my adrenals were the ones that were suffering. And I think a lot of us, we don't even realize that that's happening because we are chronically stressed. We are chronically running around. And then
Yeah.
menopause comes, and after, the zone of chaos in perimenopause, and our body is just not making enough hormones through the adrenals because the adrenals are like, sorry, uterus, I mean, I cannot take your job. I'm exhausted. So how do we support this orchestra of hormones moving from our reproductive system when we're not in a reproductive age anymore and actually making sure that our adrenals are really happy that they can do a little bit of the job?
You gotta love on them. What's your blood pressure?
Maybe 62, 110 over 62, 100 and sometimes 100 over 62.
Yeah, I would take it that you would have low blood sugar or low blood pressure because you'll end up having either low blood sugar or high, either one. Probably low blood sugar at first. Kind of goes with it, like you said, when you're or for all of us, it's all about the endocrinology because the endocrinology is the bosses. The cells that are divided off into your endocrine glands control everybody. So they're like the Wizard of Oz. They control everything. And your pituitary literally controls literally everything from your monthly cycles to literally everything. Controls the thyroid, controls the parathyroid. So when you have a diagnosis with, let's say, Hashimoto's or a low thyroid, is your thyroid low because your pituitary is suppressing it? Or is it low because it's cellularly suppressed genetically? Which is it? And this is way beyond medical thinking. They don't have a clue. They don't even know how to help a poor female when she's having all these heavy, painful monthly cycles and cramping and on. They don't even know how to help that. And it's like, that's how stupid they are. Sorry, but I've had it. It's this thing with the medical and the women, medical and the children. All they do is hurt our people. I mean, it's ridiculous. The vaccine lie and all this sort of thing stuff. It's so sick of a modality. And then it get me going when you get into chemotherapy, because I am a biochemist as well. And chemistry is my big thing. And you're putting in a 1.5 to 2 pH in someone's blood. I I come unrattled because it's a criminal. It's a crime to do something like that. That's attempted murder. And then back in my day, 95% of the people died with chemo anyway. So 95% of people that went in for chemo out of 100, right? 95 didn't come out. That's a lot of people that don't come out of something.
Yeah.
And then all these chemotherapy, I'm very aware of chemotherapy study groups, very aware of them. And most groups, almost everyone dies in them. So, I mean, it's such a bizarre world, the medical world of diseases. The 17th century of the unknown, the darkness of Pasteur's germ theory, the ridiculousness of all of this is just it's insane. So the truth has to come out. I appreciate you always asking me to come on and talk about the truth, and you giving the truth out there and not getting too caught up in it. Because sometimes the more simpler something is, the more truth and more powerful it is for you. Don't get lost up in the intellectual complexities of our times, because it'll just keep getting you lost deeper down a rabbit hole, and you get too far down, it's hard to get back when your bodies are full of tumors, and you can get some serious pain going in there.
Yeah, it's again, transparency and authenticity. Like, it is been quite a journey, because I guess with I like studying really everything and questioning, everything I'm reading. It's sometimes a little bit, it's intense, like everything you learn, you're reading. And then, of course, I love reading research. I love reading studies. And there are studies that would actually conflict with what we are saying, to be honest with
Oh,
you, all the
of
time.
course, of
Yeah.
course.
And it's really tough to navigate a world where, obviously, I also deal with people that are, looking at talking to a doctor and then to me, and I'm trying to pull them on the side where they make better choices, and I need to speak their language, and I need to speak the language of the doctor, the medical doctor, the MD. And it is it is a very tough one to juggle, because sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm just going to look at what says on paper and try to navigate a little bit what I know with this, because I don't want to lose this person. I don't want them to go like to the other side. I'm very adamant about things like chemotherapy. Of course, I am not allowed to say to someone you should do it or not,
Right.
as a practitioner, but I always try to give as much information as possible. And then options, like, okay, immunotherapy is a growing science. Maybe you can look at that instead of doing chemotherapy. Maybe it's better. Like, try to look at different things. I don't really, because again, I cannot say do something, do or not, but I try
Right.
to just steer them away from the low-hanging fruit that the hospital would give as an option, because cheap, right? It's cheap to give chemotherapy, very cheap. So they're like, here, have the shots with the chemotherapy. And it's
Yeah.
like, don't, like, that's the last thing you should do. So even with that, I'm like, okay, for me, it's like, I can help you with the cleansing of the body. In any case, I can help you with what's happening with your lymphatic system. So let's look at what's happening in the lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system is backed up. So let's look at lymphatic, let's look at kidneys, let's look at gut, let's look at liver, and get these guys to be happier with the diet, with the herbs, and then try to make better choices. I mean, when they give me enough time, I manage to reverse certain things, and then they don't have to go in and have any, actually drugs or procedures for. So that's good. But to convince somebody not to be afraid, because I try to give hope, and then they get another message from the allopathic doctor, which is more fear based, and it's a conflict. So this is what I've been
Yeah.
navigating, what I've learned from you, what I've learned in naturopathic school with herbalists, and what I'm trying to obviously do, and I learn more in the conventional space, to try and be in a way that I can talk both languages. It is exhausting sometimes, I'll be honest, because I sometimes even doubt myself. So I wanted to be transparent of that, because I mean, obviously people will see on online that I talk about both. And yeah, it's a juggling act. Maybe this is what I need to, in Kabbalah they call it the tikkun. Maybe that's my tikkun. I need to actually learn how to take a stand for one thing and stay through it. I don't know, maybe.
Well, you definitely have to find your, and it's ever changing too. Your I don't want to say niche, but it's like a niche. Your dialectics,
Mm,
uh, because it's getting someone to understand truth,
mm,
the simplicity of truth, not the intellectual jargon that's allopathy, even the intellectual jargon that's naturopathy or homeopathy, the simplicity of how life is, right? And sometimes you have to sit your clients down and have a simple talk about what the problems are, and that the reason this world isn't helping people is it's lost its simplicity, it's lost its structures on how you build. Whenever you build a big city or you build a big auditorium or you build a big building, your foundation is everything. And being a builder of homes, my foundation is going to be square and level, because everything plays off of that. And so having a good foundation is important. And so this is why I go real simple and I explain to my patients that, what the body's made of, the cells and two fluids, the fact that one's the kitchen, one's the bathroom, there's only two sides of chemistry, and it sounds simple, and it is simple, but there's where you have to go, because if you don't go there, people can't. The medical is a lie. So no matter how you say the medical, and if you learn to pronounce these words a mile long, you're still losing yourself in a lie. I remember this chiropractor, and he was one of the largest chiropractors in the United States. Became a good friend of mine, used my herbs and stuff. Well, they have programs for naturopaths and chiropractors to become medical doctors. And I said, why would you do that? He said, just to show them just what truth really is. And, somebody said, no, you'll get lost. And you have to be careful to get lost in someone else's world. When you take on too much and you're not stable in your world, right?
that is
When you're
true.
stable in your truth, no one can shake you off of it
That's
because you know it. Like no one can shake me off of health and fruitarianism. I've cured so many people around the world. I've gotten people out of wheelchairs. People parachutes didn't open. We've cured so many people. You can't tell me squat about health.
I must say, I
Spirituality,
agree.
same way. I mean, I've been
Mm-hmm.
out of body. I teach people how to go out of body traveling and stuff like that. So I'm confident in what I know, but I've had to learn it.
Yeah.
Same with you guys. I'm trying to help you guys learn and get and not fall into some of these ridiculous places like supplements and stuff like that where you can fall in a pitfall and then there goes your reputation. Because on this planet, healer goes by their reputation. You know that. And someone says, you got to go see her. She knows exactly what she's talking about. She can fix you up. That's what you want people to, that's the impression you want to leave. And that only deals when you give people the truth. And truth is easy to understand. They might not know a thing about it, but when you explain it, so when I lived in the woods, I would walk for miles and miles and miles, talking to the trees, talking to the birds, talking to the plants. I would get down my dialectics because when you're up talking in front of somebody, you can go totally blank.
Mm-hmm.
You forget what to say. I used to throw up in the bathroom. I threw up so many times before I would lecture, I can't even tell you. I would read sometimes my lecture and my paper would be going like this, and I would go, oh my God. And it's just, you take yourself down the journey of education and teaching yourself, how do you hug somebody? How do you put your arm around somebody and say, you know what? I found truth. Let me show you how to help you with it. Because we live in a world of pure hell. There's just so much lies, so much propaganda. It's like you said. Here's the carnivore diet. Now they got babies with a big old steak in their mouth, pretending like they're eating a piece of steak. How unaware and low in consciousness is that to some of the people that have a little bit more going on here? Come on, man. I never let my baby sit there with a big piece of steak in their mouth. It's a human baby. It's not a little cat baby. I mean, it's just the unawareness. So we just have to start teaching awareness, happiness, simplicity, and not worrying about it, because if someone doesn't believe you, next.
Yeah, and I feel that we also have to, when it comes to children and putting them in that space where they lose their compassion, which they innately have. I think that's like almost child abuse. Like children just love
Yeah.
create,
Yeah.
like love creations. They love animals. They love nature. Telling them that, like I was like, if you don't eat meat, you're gonna be shriveling up, and like all these messages that I had as a child. And I just wish my parents would have been more awake and more,
Yeah.
a little bit higher vibration to actually allow me to have
We can
fruit and veggies.
We can all say that.
Yeah, we
I
can all
have to
say that.
tell you, honey, we can all say that. I say that to my about my parents and stuff like that. But then we wouldn't be where we are right now. And we could argue that, and how the karma opens us up and how we awaken ourselves from that. And so really you're in a beautiful position.
Mm.
You've got it down. Keep yourself relaxed. You know how to help people and bring them from Hellville to Wellville. And it's just finding that happiness that you need.
Yeah. I have one more question for you, and this is going for postmenopausal women. And I think this would be very helpful. I'm seeing this more and more with my clients. So, osteoporosis seems to be a very big issue for them. So they start having sarcopenia. Of course, the lifestyle doesn't help if they're not working out, if they don't have any resistance. But when it comes to and of course diets again, bringing them back to alkaline diet, because acidity will like eat away your bones. But when it comes to the herbs, what is a good herb that a woman in the menopausal postmenopausal years, and we're talking late 60s, even 70s, where they just want to add on support because they actually see that things are not getting better for them. They notice more. How can we help them? What are the best herbs for them?
I'm an old comfrey freak, so I love comfrey. It's just the old name for comfrey's knit bone,
Mm,
horsetail. But I have to go back to the endocrine gland system again
mm-hmm.
and go back to your parathyroid. You have 4 parathyroids in your neck. The parathyroid glands, there's not a lot of information on the parathyroids, and a lot of medical doctors, even endocrinologists, don't have a clue.
Yeah.
One naturopathic school that a friend of mine went to, and she's already a medical person, told her that they're insignificant. Well, when you're paired, how come you got 4 of them? And then, of course, that's parathormone, and that's responsible for. And I've studied this not in physiology, because in A and P, it's your thyroid that deals with calcium utilization. I didn't find that. I found the parathyroid is. And guess who controls the parathyroid gland? The same one that controls the thyroid gland. Well, which one controls the thyroid gland? Same one that controls the adrenal glands. So where am I taking you? Right up here in the pituitary. And if you're a lady that's 5'1", 5'2", 5'3", 5'4", 5'5", 5'6", you got pituitary problems, serious pituitary problems. If you're 6'1", 6'2", you've got pituitary problems. But the opposite. A little hyperactivity in a gland as opposed to a little hypoactivity in a gland. The pituitary literally sits up here and literally controls them all. But to me, it's a little antenna out of the hypothalamus, the center of your brain, that literally is the Wizard of Oz. It's the central nervous system. You have two nervous systems. And the central nervous system is the overseer of the land. The autonomic is your adrenal glands. That's your blood sugars. That's your autonomic nervous system. That's how you breathe. That's your anxieties when you can't, and all of that. Your parathyroids, when you're not utilizing calcium, unhappiness, depression, depersonalization, I'm just not any good anymore. That sort of thing. And no, you're not. And they think now they're going to label you with mental health problems. No, it's not a mental health problem. It's easy to fix, and it's going after your endocrinology. And for anything for a woman and her health, for all levels, her endocrinology is so important.
This would be a good one, the endocrine.
Yeah, endocrine daily, absolutely.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
This is great. And I also want to suggest to people that they get your book because this is really a nice guide to everything, so they can access it easily. It's sold everywhere, and it talks about the herbs.
I've got the Fruitarian raw book almost done. I know these are video books. Well, I'm working with an A&P professor, and she has college.
I know, Patty, right?
Patty, yeah. Well, she's still teaching. And I just talked with her, and she can't come down this summer either because her mom broke her leg. So we're trying to get this video done, this video book. And we have a video book on the lymphatic system. If you learn anything from us, you, me, learn your lymphatic system. The medical doctors have no clue. Matter of fact, chiropractors, massage therapists who go to school for the lymphatic system have no clue what it's for. And it's no one's fault. It's just that no one has exactly.
Yeah,
so understand, we teach you what the lymphatic system really is, and once you do it, all goes together. It goes, well, of course that's how it is. Of course your body has a sewer system in it. Of course, exactly. So does my house. So it just makes sense. And then when you do, you have the power to get yourself well. Playing with the botanicals is fun, fun, fun. I've taught classes since the early 70s. Out of body mostly, but then I had health food stores, so I taught detoxification, right? And I've always given my patients and clients, I give them 10 herbs to study. Next week, 10 more. Next week, 10 more, because there's so many. Over 5,000 of them, of course, and you're not going to know them all, and that's not important. But you get the gross ones, the generally regarded as safe ones. They're just a beautiful group of herbs, and herbs are like people. Some people get along. Me and her get along really well. Some people don't get along really well. You got to know that with herbs. Some herbs just don't like each other. You got to know which ones, because when they're in a formula, that formula is going to kick you a little. So it's just understanding herbs, and I've been making them since 1973. I had 300 herbal formulas or herbs in my health food store. Someone come in with a problem, I'd mix them together and give them a little sack of herbs to take home and make some tea.
That's amazing. And you had, obviously, this is the first brand you created, which was rebranded, like it's the newest packaging. This is the old one, actually. This is the old one for the thyroid that I have.
Yeah.
But now you have, so you had sold it and then you rebought it again.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
And then, but you also
That
have
is
another brand. What happened in that? And because it's, people were asking me, yeah, there you go, the handcrafted. And that's a nice one, the acidic relief, actually. Great for the stomach. And I was wondering, I was wondering why you sold the brand at the beginning. No, that's the one. Yeah. A little bit off focus if we are watching on
that's
on
tough,
YouTube.
isn't it?
There,
But it's
yeah.
Dr. Morse's herbal handcrafted. I originally, I've been doing this all my life. I got out of high school and went into the Air Force, and then went into the woods and became a fruitarian. So I've been involved in health literally my whole life. And trying to have a clinic through the years has been tough, been rough because you got to make it. I've always had a wife and a child one way or another. So, that's a lot. You got to be able to put food on
Yeah.
the table and, raise kids and do that sort of thing. And then a few people understood what true naturopathy was, and still, I started getting famous for curing people. Uh, Started putting it in my local newspaper and stuff, and people going, "What?" And I had radio shows and stuff, and then it just started growing and growing. And like I said, I had a clinic in Lisbon,
Mm-hmm.
and loved the Portuguese people. Uh, and it just grew that way, And then you guys, I started having live classes. So I'd have two or three live classes a year. That kind of got a lot of work. And so then I turned them into videos, which would make it cheaper to go to, and then you guys could learn how to cure people. Because my whole thing is to get you guys out there curing people up. Because we got a sick world. They don't realize just how sick this world is. When
Yeah.
you start having tumors and stuff, you don't realize how far advanced you are in your lymphatic problems. And you got to start opening up to that because now there's no game to it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't treat diseases. You can't treat cancer and come out and win. No, You got to understand what causes these things and fix the cause of it.
Yes.
You know what? And it's that easy. And it's just that I'm so happy to have people like you helping me too, because it's been a lot of years.
Yeah, 50 years, more than 50 years you've been
Yeah,
practicing.
54 almost, and
And
it's
and
like,
so and
phew.
going back to obviously 50 years of experience they translated into your products. How come you decided to have the handcraft but also have the Dr. Morse
Okay, so here's
brand?
what happened. I wanted to get out. I wanted to get free. There's businesses. Business drives me crazy. I'm a spiritual guy. I like to give hugs and stuff, right? Business. Oh my God. Having a big herb company is extremely stressful. I mean, we had almost 40 employees.
Mm,
That's about 50 some thousand or more a week,
mm,
yeah, that you have to pay out. Well,
mm-hmm.
you got to make it to pay it out. I mean, when you start to have like 50,000 a week, have to go out just to pay for employees, and you start going this, it reaches a
Stressful.
stress level that I'm a spiritual guy. I don't like stress levels.
Yeah.
So a couple of guys, a matter of fact, one day, several people approached me wanting to purchase it, and so I I sold it to a couple that just didn't work out.
Mm,
That's all I can say about it.
mm,
It was just didn't work out at all, and so my attorneys were able to get me to have my own brand back. So that's why I put the handcrafted ones up.
yeah, there it is. Still, I will
Yeah,
focus when you come, but yeah. But I will put
yeah,
the links. I will put the links.
yeah, and it gave me a chance to do some of my thinking, because I'm constantly thinking of herbs and what needs, the individual ones, but also formulas,
Yeah.
because I created these formulas not for the public. I created them for my clinic. I
Mm-hmm.
needed tools. I needed things to help me fix people. You got a tumor in your liver. How quick can I get it out of there?
Yeah.
Right? You
Yeah.
got tumors hanging off your breast. How quick can I get them out of there? Serious stuff going on here.
Yeah.
You got anxieties. You got all kinds of problems. How quick can I save your butt? Right? I need tools. Well, vitamins and minerals are no tools. And like ascorbic acid,
That's true.
ascorbic acid? It's an acid. We got to use a buffer. And why would you put an acid in your blood? Because your blood has to be, it's all stupid stuff. So, we came along here with stupid people. Linus Pauling, not a very bright man. I mean, came along here with some very not bright people. And so now we have some serious problems. Now we have this we need to have a milk ring, and yet we know this is one of the biggest form of tumors on the planet. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
does.
Yeah, it
Brilliant.
does.
And but is there a difference between the handcrafted and the your brand in terms of
There
formulation?
is a difference.
Okay.
There's a difference in the way they were made. One
Okay.
was made with percolation,
Okay.
which is a little bit longer of a process. Um, and the other one was just basically your normal
Extraction.
extraction.
Yeah, and the extraction one is your brand, right?
Well, you got methylation and percolation, and
Yeah.
methylation is you know where you have to turn it every day for. Well, I like to go lunar if I can keep it to lunar, but that's hard sometimes too. In other
Mm.
words, new moon, full moon,
Yeah.
then your energy's right there, and you want to pick everything at the full moon, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of considerations, but when you're doing this therapeutically for around the world, it's rough.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm 100% organic. My products, you will always know my products will always be 100% organic or wildcrafted, and you will never see plastic in my products.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it's just the
100%.
things, you know, and people have different companies have different ways that they want to run their businesses. So I had to turn around and I ended up purchasing it all back and everything else, and so I'm back in it again, heavy and hard. But I love formulas like this acid reflux tea for the for IBS or anything like that, ulcerations of anything. I mean, this is the best I've ever done it, and I'm going to have a little more change to it. I'm going to be adding some really secret herbs. And then I've got a new line. I've just released a line above the ground line. So I got
Okay.
an all flower formula. It just came in. All flowers. Now flowers, emotions.
Mm.
If I can reach into your astral body and start curing that astral body, whoa man. You're gonna see the healing on the outer really start to kick up. You know, and it's just amazing. I've used moonshine yarrow. It'll take you out of a rape case or where you're, you know, you can imagine just being raped. I can give that to you and pull you right out of it.
Oh,
I
that
mean, it's just these flowers and things are so amazing, honey. I love them.
they are beautiful actually. Rescue Rabbit is the one everybody knows, but it really does support. I mean,
Yeah,
they are
yeah.
just very great. Yeah, they're great. Okay, I know that we're running out of time, so I'm gonna end with just one story that you will
Okay,
appreciate and be happy about. Because I have a friend that I coached into a cleanse of your cleanses with the herbs, and I did it without, she didn't pay. I just said, you just have to buy the herbs, but I will help you. I put it on all fruit, and she was the only one that actually was really open. She's Portuguese, and so she said to me after she had edema, severe edema and pain and arthritis, and 2 months in, not even actually a month in, the edema out. So she was looking amazing. Arthritis got better. She didn't have any colitis for a very long time, and only fruit. And then she said to me, I have to secretly tell you this. I always felt like this is what I wanted to eat, just fruit. I don't like eating anything but fruit, but I can't because of, family and when I was a child, I wasn't allowed. But I always just wanted to eat fruit. I said, well, you're an
yeah,
adult now, so you can. And she absolutely loves having fruit. I gave her some salads as well. So we followed your menu as well. So some salads that she can put together. But honestly, she always gravitates towards the fruit. And I've seen such a transformation in her. Even now she's been going a little bit through a wobbly time because she had been put on anti-anxiety pills and she came off it. So there's that transition time where you're weaning off it, and it can be quite hard. But I said to
sure.
her, well, let's do another lymphatic because with that it will help you just get rid of the extra stuff that is in your body. And I'm thinking also the liver would be a good one because obviously the liver processes all these things
Yep.
too. So it's beautiful to see. This is the first person in my practice over the years that has been so open to just fruit. And actually, I can testify if they commit to it and they're happy to do it, it does kind of do miracles, you know?
See, now she can be so much more than what she thought she was.
Yeah.
And she's done it for herself. And that's the beauty of self empowerment here, guys. is that you hold the key, you hold the power of this. You don't have to worry about, oh, I need to ask a medical doctor. Ask them what? You know how there's no cure for this, but I can give you a pharmaceutical for it. Take this power back on your own hands and understand there's a truth out there that's so simple to understand about the body and about health and about the species that the human belongs to. A few little things in science that we have to know, and we've got it down. And then, to me, it's exciting to start a new world, start a new life, right? So what better? People bitch about the diet, but then no, this is a good diet. It tastes good. It cleans your teeth. Your bowels move better. It cleans the plaque off your colon walls. It cleans your bladder out. It cleans all the nasty acids and mucus out of the body. I mean, and a fruit tastes good too. I mean, you're talking about a bunch of beans. Look what you have to do to them to make a bunch of beans taste good, and then they're highly constipating. I mean, it's crazy. Enzyme inhibitors. I mean, just full of this. And if you eat a piece of meat, there's nothing there. But I mean, it's just dead tissue. It's like, yeah, unless you put something on, unless you put an herb on it, it don't taste worth a hoot, right? Because exactly.
That's true.
So, where does the flavors in life? Fruits, berries, melons. You talk about flavors. Come on.
I had a whole watermelon last Saturday.
Oh, I had one last night.
So good.
So good. But a good mango, a beautiful mango. Oh, some of these mangoes are so good, your toes will curl. And of course, you need the fructose because that feeds the nervous system. Now that we know fructose feeds the nervous, well, we knew that anyway when we were pulling people out of wheelchairs 50 years ago, but we didn't tell them that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Dr. Morse, thank you so much for being on, for sharing your, obviously, knowledge and love for plants and the herbs that you created. And so, always happy to have a chat with you. And so, thank you so much.
Always, sweetheart. Thanks for inviting me. Love you now.
I love you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Morse, for being back on the show. It's always so beautiful to have you on, and it's a privilege to have you back. So guys, I hope you also enjoyed the podcast and that you had a chance to really reflect upon certain things. I certainly had moments of reflections, even about how I practice, what I take. It is a journey. But I always appreciate what Dr. Morse shares, because when it comes to cellular regeneration, I have not come across anybody that does it better. And I am truly lucky that I know so many of the things that he has shown and shared with us, with me, as a student as well. So I am excited that I had a chance for you to actually learn a little bit more, especially if you're a woman. Now, if you want to learn more about his books and herbs, they are all in the show notes linked up for you so that you can have a look. And I really hope that you enjoy sharing this episode also with your friends and loved ones and people that really need it. Even if they are on a healing journey and need some support and want to find new resources, please do that. If you are on YouTube, like, share, follow, because that helps us grow and I can have more of these wonderful conversations with different people. Alright guys, a big kiss and I'll see you next week. Bye.